Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication.
There, welcome to Mercy TV, your source for news and information on the medical cannabis issue as it unfolds here in Oregon, across America, and indeed even around the world. Greetings, my name is Perry, and along with Sonny, PK, and Reed, we'll be hosting this segment of Mercy TV Live. So call in, get your medical cannabis question, comment, curse, or kudo out there for all the world to share.
So this is the old issue of the Cannabis Connection. The new issue is going to be out next week. It'll be at your local distributor. I hope you like the picture behind us. That's my garden. Back in June.
All right.
Very nice, very nice.
And folks can see more of PK's My Garden here on Channel 23.
Yeah. You know, what is the main thing is with all these different gardens you got going on, they can watch them on Channel 23.
Well, we hope to get more gardens on PK's My Garden show and share the different aspects about them with the folks.
Yes.
You know, because we have indoor, we have outdoor, we have your folks growing in dirt, and they have folks growing in those clay balls.
And rock wool.
Rock wool and other methods there. So it's really important that we continue to network, and so contact us at Mercy with your garden situation, good, bad, or ugly.
And you know, it's the patients we're really trying to look out for, because the patients use this for medicine. And it's really important because the cannabis is good medicine, and that's what, it's also good for a lot of other things, but what we're trying to show people is that it is really good as medicine and helps for so many things, you know, like the pain is the biggest thing, and here lately we've really found along the psoriasis.
Yes.
You know, the psoriasis, if you have any psoriasis, it's wonderful for the oils, are wonderful for psoriasis. And that's what you can do. You can grow the plant, you can make the oil, you can take the oil, and it'll take care of the psoriasis.
And our friend over here, Reed, he uses the roots to make a balm.
That's correct.
From. Then you use a crock pot?
Presently, I am using a pressure cooker.
A pressure cooker.
Found that I'm able to speed up my production time as well as improve the product.
And don't forget about the Parents for Pot. They're helping out families. I believe they're helping out 50 families nationwide this year, or statewide.
All over. And they're just a good group that, you know, if you need to contact somebody, you know, because that's what they do, is they're part of helping those kind of families, and sometimes families don't know who to contact. And that's what we're trying to do, is put people in touch with other people that need to be put in touch, so you know that you're getting put in touch with people that you could get put in touch with, you know, because there's a lot of scammers out there, and what we're trying to do is make sure the patients and the adults and the kids, because there are kids that are getting help from the medicine, and the parents need to know. And I mean, all of these things are so important, you know, and there's not a lot of people out there doing it.
You don't have to smoke it.
Well, that's the biggest thing.
Well, yeah, I think the Parents for Pot highlights a very important issue, refugee families. Parents taking their children to the very few states, Oregon is one of them, where they can get cannabis for their kids. Colorado is another state, I believe. And yeah, Parents for Pot is a multi-state organization, but it's just sad the number of refugee families on the list this year. Of course, there's also the activist families, those who are in their situation of needing help because of their activism. It affects people getting jobs, it affects your income, and in many cases we have prisoners of the drug war families, their loved ones incarcerated or otherwise inhibited by being prosecuted because they've supplied medicine, they've helped people with their gardens and other acts of compassionate humanity that are unfortunately still illegal at a federal level. And it brought to mind a terrible consequence of that. I was hearing the story of a child who was going to school, and one of the teacher individuals there was talking about how the child was utilizing cannabis for their seizures to maintain them, and how they were unable to medicate the child during their time there at the school. That cannabis alone, of all the medicines, could not be administered by school staff. They had to have the parents come in and do it. And that's just another sad note about how far we still have to go with the medical cannabis law reform, even here in Oregon. Unfortunately, we've seen a regression of the laws there. The fees were raised up, the limits were reduced, and all kinds of stifling requirements were put on it, such that a lot of patients lost their growers because they couldn't maintain it under the which was planned. It was meant to be that way, sadly. And so I'd just like to put in a plug for everybody to be sure to register and vote this upcoming election cycle, 2018, when we'll have a chance to get rid of all those legislators who voted for these bad bills this last legislative session here. So,
well, that's what's important, to let everybody know that we have a lot of things coming up, and that everybody can get on board, get on the website on mercycenters.org, and that you can either call us. You can call on Friday nights on the Mercy Live show, or you can call on the 503-363-4588 number,
right,
or get a hold of us on the website. And these are where you can get some information or ask questions if that's what you're looking for.
Right. You know, Mercy and other groups are still networking folks. We're still trying to find growers for people. We're still assisting people to become a grower, particularly if you're for that loved one or someone you care about that needs the help there, you know. And card holders can still network resources, exchange plants, seeds, medicine, baked goods, oils, teas, tinctures, and methodologies. So it's important to give us a contact if you need help, or more importantly, you got help, you know. So,
excuse me, but you people in the hospital, you need to talk to your children and the doctors about using cannabis as one of the alternative medicines that you're taking.
Well, we always like to say hi to the people in the hospital because nobody talks to them. They're the people in the hospital that could use the cannabis the most. They could use the most benefit, whatever treatments, you know, they are using, you know, because there's so many different applications, whether it's the oils or the smoking or the, you know, the different kinds of vaporizers.
Right.
And, I mean, there's just so much. A lot of people have been taking the oils internally, and it's been doing great. And, you know, there's so many things like this that, you know, the pills do so many bad side effects. And that's where people that aren't dealing with these kinds of things don't understand because they don't understand what it is to deal with all those side effects. And if the people in the hospital can talk to their doctors and talk to their families about trying cannabis and getting into this, because this might be something that would help them.
Well, it's definitely helped a lot of the members at Mercy, folks that have talked to us, communicated, again, from all over the world, talking about their experiences of finding the near miraculous relief from this cannabis and then needing to get it, you know. So, yeah.
Just this week, the doctor's show on TV had a segment on a girl that she had a cancerous a tumor in her brain that started at 8 months old. They found it, and the mother, after they started giving her chemotherapy, got turned on to CBDs, and she started feeding her CBDs. And after 2.5 months, they did an MRI, and the tumor had shrunk. Now, what chemotherapy does not shrink the tumors. What it does is it causes them to shut off the blood flow and causes the tumor to deteriorate so that it's washed out of the body. But it does not shrink the tumors. And yet this girl's tumors shrank after 2.5 months of using CBD products.
Fantastic.
It was a 3/4 of an hour segment on the doctor's show this week.
Well, now with mainstream, getting to the mainstream, what we've been experiencing in our community for decades now, and what prompted, you know, the law to pass, certainly here in Oregon, and I know in other states, has been examples too. Not just these tumors, not just seizures, but a whole plethora of conditions and symptoms and side effects from other medications. It's just
well, pain, Perry. Look at they're talking about this epidemic that our country is in.
right. You know,
and the epidemic is because so many people are on pills. A lot of them are from pain. They're on pain pills because they're having pain. And well, if they were doing cannabis, they wouldn't be having side effects and they wouldn't be having all these problems, and they'd be getting healthy.
Right. You know, it's just downright wrong that the most common effect of cannabis and opioids is a reduction in opioid use. We've seen that, experienced that case after case after case here in Oregon, certainly, and I'm sure around the world. I mean, in Europe, they've been using it as part of their addiction therapy for longest time. We're behind the game on this so much, and it's up to you people to, you know, see to it that you know, when cannabis in combination with opioids reduces the opioid, you get the same pain therapy, less addictive, you know, less liability, less side effects. Yeah, you don't die from it. There's no overdose of cannabis. No one's died from marijuana. There's been no news of contraindication. There's no effect of the combination other than a reduction of the opioid use, and yet that seems to have triggered a crime, you know. Then.
Well, maybe you have a question. Maybe you have a question about the cannabis that you haven't found out. Please give us a call here at the station, because on Friday nights, that's what we do, is we try and answer all the questions for people. Or you can come down to the station, you know, you can be in the audience. I mean, CCTV is very good about working with us. I mean, we can do anything.
Right. If you're a resource, come on down. The net reading folks, yeah.
A question that I keep being asked is, what kind of interaction is there between cannabis or CBDs and the pharmaceutical medications that they're taking? And to what I have read and what I have heard, there is no negative interactions of any kind. It doesn't improve the medications they're taking. It does separately. It does not lower the effectiveness of whatever medications they're taking. It helps separately with no side effects of its own.
Amazing, though.
That's been our experience, you know, and it's time it was accepted into mainstream and the war. You know, if there's anything bad out there, let the studies show it. You know, and cut this reefer madness. And it's just wrong.
Well, it's the propaganda that the federal government has been feeding us since 1937 and making it hard.
Yep. And there's another thing, you know, folks should be aware of and pissed off about. You know, we're talking about budget cutting and austerity measures and all that, and one of the biggest wastes of our government is this drug war. It wastes not just monies, it wastes not just police resources, but it wastes people, good people.
Yes.
And, you know, as we keep finding out by these stories like Reed was sharing, you know, a potential cure for all kinds of ills that are becoming, you know, way too common in society, you know.
Well, and that's what we're finding out, and that people, that they get so healthy, and that's what's so good. They get so healthy with no side effects. And that's what I really just can't stress enough, is the side effects. Because the side effects is what, once you've lived through those side effects, Perry, there is nothing worse. You know, the side effects are worse than the condition, or worse than the pills, or worse than anything.
You're taking another drug to counteract the side effect.
I mean, they give you pills on top of pills for the side effects. They're so terrible. And they're just, you know, I mean, just thinking about it just always makes me cringe.
Right.
You know?
Well, it's the
And I know I'm not the only
Right.
one, and there's others out there. And if you haven't dealt with cannabis yet, please, you know, cannabis might be something good for you that, you know, whether you're eating it, you know, that's another thing. People don't realize they could have a cookie and every day have a cookie and feel so much better
right.
just by having a cookie.
Well, it's the whole cycle of not sleeping well, not eating well, and then not living well. And with the cannabis, folks are breaking that cycle. They're reducing their medications and living better, longer lives. And as we mentioned before, there's some very serious conditions that could be treated, possibly, you know, affected, you know, as we mentioned before, reduction in tumors, you know. And it's not the cannabis alone, it's supercharging the white cells probably, but let's end the war and find out and know for sure. I mean, if it's bad, let's find out, know for sure what's bad. But if it's good, you know, let the people have
Be
it,
able to enjoy
you know?
it.
Get the government to quit fiddle farting around so that the drug companies can find a way in and
Well,
make money
preventing
out of it.
this stuff, you know, for the sake of the drug companies who's put a lot of money in their cancer cures. Can you imagine if cannabis could cure it? You know what that would mean to all their monies and stuff? Ooh, so.
You mentioned last week a study that was done by the U.S. government in 1974.
Right.
That was done with CBDs, CBD, THC, and none of the above. And that study proved to the U.S. government that it cured 2 kinds of lung cancer. They then hid the study and patented CBDs.
That's terrible. And it's up to us to do something about it, to not let that continue to be the law of the land. It's, yeah.
So, in the Cannabis Connection, you can get this online as well, but they got recipe. How would you like to have a canna cheesecake or a canna biscuit caramel? Doesn't that taste tasty? And then there's even canna Brussels sprouts
Right.
with lemon corned beef or
Hey, you could even get some can of caramel cheesecake there, and even, huh? Yeah. Now we're talking numbs.
So you can make up this yourself if you're able to.
Well, the OCC is a good place to get those kind of recipes because they put those recipes in them, and people, if you didn't have any kind of recipes, you could go to them and get them.
And back issues as well.
A lot of grow tips, and of course news and information, past legislation pending, and of course their resources. A lot of people with various tools for the cannabis community there.
We need to get registered to vote now. Don't wait until November or October before it's too late and you can't vote in this coming election. Need to get registered now. And let's make some of the people in our government upset and concerned about how many new voters there are.
Right, you should definitely be contacting your legislators and let them know that we're coming. Let them know that this is the issue for us. This is what's important for us. That our loved ones who depend on it are important to us, and all. And plus, it's a metric. It's a barometer. You know, that's what amounts to a civil war on we the people, by the government, by the ruling elite. You know, do you think they have a problem getting hold of cannabis for whatever reason? No. This is just something that's done to we, the people. And, you know, as Nixon so famously said, you know, we can't get them because they're protesting and don't like it. We're greedy, corrupt, selfish individuals, but we can get them for this pot war stuff. So it's just an excuse, and always has been since they first started doing it. And they just kind of changed the bar. You know, it used to be just on Mexicans and colored people, and it just was slowly creeping up to the middle class, white people, and anybody below the rank of police, you know, or the millionaires they serve, is subject to be not just, you know, grabbed on the street and shaken up inside down, and maybe you have a little bit of pot or something that looks like pot, and your life is ruined, but storming into households, the wrong house. You know, how many people, how many children have died on raids on the wrong house, you know? I wager, and we know how many children have died from consuming cannabis. That's zero. So it's safe to say that the pot war has killed more children than pot has. And as such, that metric alone, we should stop doing that, you know? Since that's what it's supposedly all about, right? It's about the kids.
We're ruining people's lives over an innocent plant that God gave us.
We're missing the opportunity for this medicine. We're missing industry. You know, we haven't even, you know, gone over all the things that hemp could do. But basically, it's just our right to the truth. We shouldn't have a big lie forced on us constantly. You know, that's the scary part. That this big lie's been cropped up, and stayed there. Everybody knows it's a joke, you know, and all, and yet still it blunders along, and it shouldn't. It's one dinosaur that should definitely be made extinct.
So register and vote.
Right.
Know that they're breaking the laws themselves. They're violating our civil rights, my friends. Section 20 says in the state's constitution, all people should be treated equally.
And
I
that's
don't
not
think
happening.
the cannabis patients have been treated equally. We've been taken advantage of from the funding or the fees that we have to pay, and then they take it out of the bank account and give it to the other departments in the organization.
Yep.
They don't do any research about the benefits of the cannabis, eating it or smoking it or using it as a oil.
No, not at all. Before we head out, Reed, you're still collecting roots?
That's correct, I
Right.
am.
So let folks know how they can.
Roots, in spite of this, what's available are not available to me at this point, and I am in desperate need of roots.
Okay. So give Reed a call there. He got his number. And or pass the number on if you know somebody that is growing and has roots to get rid of there.
And those are clean roots, I believe.
Yes, please. Save your excellent dirt, recycle it.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to get some more information on Reed's root process, I'd be happy to share his recipe and other information he can with a.
And I do have root balm available.
There you go.
Well, and the balm is basically to rub on, and it's topical. And you know, if you got arthritis and
Carpal tunnel.
all of these kind of
And liver spots that are going away on my feet.
Or the psoriasis, as we mentioned earlier.
Right.
Yeah, just one of the many applications of the cannabis plant. And just another example, as Pete was saying, you don't have to smoke it. And so where we reach out to folks in hospice care and facilities, home cares, hospitals, you know, these modes and methods, other helpful tidbits and information available at mercycenters.org, or give us a call.
503-363-4588.
So that's my garden back in June, I believe. And it's growing pretty nice, and it did make a nice harvest this year. And I hope you enjoy my program, My Garden, and get the information that I give you.
Stay tuned for it here on Channel 23. Thanks to our supporters, and thanks to the crew here, Lance in the control room. And let's make a pitch for agent420.biz, your cannabis insurance resource. Also, let us not forget CCTV and all the great work that they do in being the voice of the people here in Salem and beyond through the YouTube postings that we're able to make.
Well, yeah, and if you need some help, and come on down on Friday nights, we can help you get the cannabis is what we're doing.
Yeah, if you're a patient in need or a group that's looking to round up members, or if you have resources to help people with, hey, come on down.
Parents for Pot, please get in touch with them, give them a donation.
Yes.
And if you can, give us a donation
Amen.
also.
Yeah.
Research and education is primary need.
Well, and remember, be nice to everybody.
Yep.
You
We're
know?
all brother and sister here.
Amen. We're all in this together. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Mercy TV.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.